Jay here for Scotty and Motty, and thanks for tuning in to our latest podcast. I think this is I don't even know actually, is it number 7 for the podcast, or maybe the 11th episode we've done in total? I'm not sure, but we appreciate all your support. We've had lots of, subscribers, nice comments, people sharing, and it's all good. That's Scotty, of course. Before we get into that one, listen, it's got to be mentioned. It's worth mentioning, and it's time to put, rivalry aside, and we are football fans first and foremost. And I was debating whether to say anything, but I think we should. So it's only right that, we acknowledge it and sort of say well done and then move on. So I'm going to say fair play to Arsenal today for getting their first win since lockdown. Big win, mid-table clash against Southampton, and they got a win. So even though I'm obviously, we're both United fans, we've got a bit of humility to us and that, and we'll say, it was a big 6-pointer. You got to win. Fair play. Let's move on. Anyway, enough of the football. Scotty, how we keeping, mate?
I'm all right. I completely agree with you there, mate. Fantastic intro. Yeah, are we not talking about it at all,
mate? Would you want him? Would you want to really, do anything like that? I think enough people will be talking about what you're alluding to for us not to, personally.
Right. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I just want to say it's Man City put up a fucking terrible challenge, and Prince Andrew had a better defence than they did. Right. Anyway.
Listen, as I tweeted, it takes the greatest of all time to win 3 on the row. Let's just remember that, and he did it twice.
Yeah, I mean, there's far more important shit going on in the world than some fucking tin pot club from Merseyside winning a trophy.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's not even worth a mention, really, is it?
Not really. Because white lives matter, Jay. Did you hear that one? White lives matter. And Mexicans and Asians and...
do you know what? It's like, right, can I just say something? Yeah. Me and you've discussed this several times, both on air and off air. Like, the good analogy I like to use is my kids, right? Yeah? Or my family. Now, I've got 3 children. My lad, who is mixed race, and he looks the same colour as me. My youngest daughter, who is mixed race and passes for white, really. She looks white unless, she's caught the sun and you can sort of see. My eldest is white. Now, do I think that my son's life matters more than my other 2 kids? Absolutely not. Do I think that he's more important than the other 2? Not at all. Of course, all lives matter. Of course, my daughter's lives matter as much as my son's, and white lives matter as much as black lives. But do I have certain worries about my daughters that I don't have with my son? No. I worry about my son in a way that I don't worry about my daughters, and vice versa, because women obviously face issues as well. No one's disputing that. But I worry, is my son going to get stopped and searched dozens of times, like I did, like I have been. And I've literally been searched countless times, especially when I lived in London. And this isn't when I was up to no good or anything. This is when I was studying. I was at uni. And I used to get stopped and searched almost every other week. And it gets to you. And I was an older, mature student, but, I was able to handle it, and I'm sort of a reformed character. So I was like, well, you know what? I don't mind getting stopped and searched. I'm not actually doing anything wrong this time. But it's not nice. I've had countless jokes made at my expense in the workplace or when I've been studying or whatever. And you know the sort of thing I'm talking about. Oh, don't trust him with the petty cash. You wouldn't want to stand next to him in the toilet. Don't let him cut the cake. Don't let him handle that knife. Silly sort of puerile shit that you get when you're a mixed race or a black person, that you just almost expected to shrug it off. And I've shrugged it off. And I've just thought, and I've had racist abuse at football. I've had name calling. I've had people spitting on me. I've had things like that. Not a lot of it, I'll admit, but I've had enough of it. I've had teammates on my own football team making racist comments and then giving me a half-hearted apology when they realised they've said it in front of me. Now, these are the things that I worry my son will have to go through. So, do I value his life more than my daughters or his sisters? No. Do I worry he's going to have to deal with the same things that I've had to deal with? Yes. And that's what we're having this conversation about now. No one's saying that Black Lives Matter more. They're saying they all matter the same. But the problem is black people face certain challenges and issues and problems that white people don't. And that is the core of this argument and why it's come up right now, because we've seen it with the George Floyd case. It's brought it to the front again. And that's what we're talking about here. So the idea that it's all lives matter, or White Lives Matter, it's just counterproductive. No one's saying they don't. You know, me and you were speaking the other day, and it was like, if someone's saying breast cancer awareness, does that mean other cancers don't matter? No, of course it doesn't. But at this moment, we're talking about this because it's coming up and it's an issue. And a lot of young black people are feeling disenfranchised. They're feeling victimized. They're feeling like society doesn't care about them. And these are worries that I worry my son will have to go through because I've had them myself. And that's why I'm having this conversation. So the idea is, you know, white lives matter too is a nonsense. And the very people that are making that argument, that are saying white lives matter as much as black people, that's our point. That is my point. They do. That's my fucking argument. Not that they matter more, they matter the same. That's the whole argument that black people are making. And some people are just too fucking thick to get it. So
yeah, I mean, I can, I completely agree. And I'm sorry, because I knew you'd experience some sort of forms of racism, but not to the extent that you just mentioned there. But I've got other black friends that, you know, they've got countless times when they've been pulled over by the police or face similar stuff. And it's horrible that you have to go through that and you fear about it with your son. And my kids are similar in the sense, you can tell my eldest is half Asian, but the other two, you can't tell. So I worry more about her than I do the other two. And we spoke about this off air the week with Alex, and we were watching the Black Panthers. I was watching a Black Panthers documentary, and it was on in the background. She snuck into the room, and I didn't realise she was watching what was happening. And she started asking me, "Is that a real film or was it like fiction?" And then I had to sort of break my own 8-year-old daughter's innocence by thinking, well, if I'm going to tell her at some point that these things happen, then she needs to know now, because this should, you know, they need to be more about aware what struggles might come. But the whole Burnley joker with the White Lives Matter over the Etihad, the fucking excuse, the excuse is that I just wanted to raise awareness that White Lives Matter and all that. I was like, let's just break it down. Break it down is ridiculous excuse. I just wanted to raise awareness that White Lives Matter. Right, okay. So what else are you doing about White Lives Matter? Because it cost him £600 to actually put that plane in the air. So if you care so much about other white people's lives, why didn't you invest that money into your own community in Burnley that is going to shit? There's a huge drug problem there, and a lot of them are white people. Why are you not putting that 600 quid? If you give a shit so much about how much White Lives Matter, what are you doing about it? Because it isn't. All it was is recreational outrage, and they wanted just because because he came out as that he's not racist. He just likes having selfies with fucking Tommy Robinson, and then his missus isn't racist, but on social media said that the smelly need to go back on the boats. I'm sorry, you are fucking racist, and just stand by the shit that you're saying, and that's what it is. And a lot of the White Lives Matter and the All Lives Matter people have got this sort of, I call it recreational outrage, because they like to do it because they're bored shitless because they haven't got anything else to moan about. You know what I mean? Coronavirus is at its trend now. They need something else to sort of fucking have a hashtag about because the pubs are closed, and that's all it is. I firmly believe they don't think that they need to fight the fight that white lives matter. It's just pure and utter ignorance and counterproductive by doing that, because you don't see any other races starting. I've not seen any of my Asian friends, saying Asian lives matter. Do you know what? No other, but they do, and likewise they get persecuted because of the colour of their skin or their religion and stuff. But they don't start flying flags flying banners over planes. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and I'm glad he got sacked. And his missus got sacked. And, and this fucking, what's his name? Tony Livesey was fantastic on the radio. Did you see that? I thought
it's really funny.
Yeah, I thought that was absolutely amazing what he did, and really outspoken. And what I make clear, because when I spoke about this on my Twitter the other day, and someone said, I hope you don't think that all the people in Burnley hold the same views as that. And they don't, because to start stereotyping a community like Burnley is to be part of the problem as well, because you're in some way you're just saying a group of people because of their actions, can't count for a whole I don't know, what is it, a village? I don't know what. I'm not saying, is it a city?
No, it's a town, I think.
Town.
Sorry, I don't think it's got city status. I might be wrong. I used to work there, sort of. It was part of my patch. A bit of it, was part of my patch when I was a reporter for Lancashire. But no, we've got a mutual friend, Robbie, who tweeted me because I tweeted out, and he replied saying he was in tears, and he's saying that I'm fucking devastated because it paints us all like utter just morons, and that's not his view, and now everyone's just like, Burnley, that's Burnley for you, that's the whole town, that's the whole fan base. You know, you mentioned Tony lives there. He did a great sort of heartfelt speech, and you know, me and you were talking, I think, a few weeks ago about United and racism, and I think like, you know, I get more upset, I'd get more offended if I saw, almost more offended if I saw a United fan being racist, because that's my club, and I don't want that at my club, and I don't want them representing my club. And you know, when you have these things where a United fan's been accused of racism, and it pisses me off when people go, well, he's not a United fan. Well, he is. He's just a racist one, and we need to own it and deal with it. But yeah, you know, to hire that banner and stuff like that is just madness. And it made me laugh because it brought back what you were saying about how are these racists finding like women? You know, who's going out with these racists? And you know, it shows you this guy's got a girlfriend, hasn't he? And
yeah,
although she's an absolute moron, you know, she's a relatively attractive girl, whatever. And I just think, you know, she's probably at the stage where she's thinking, well, I'm going to go out with a racist, so I may as well go out with one who's got a job. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's my choices there because I'm surrounded by them or whatever. Because it seemed like that whole sort of group was just, you know, there was, like you say, pictures with Tommy Robinson, pictures with him with just spouting all the social media stuff. The pair of them have been sacked. It's obviously not just them two. There's other people behind it as well. The plane company, I don't know what's happening with them, but they need to take a look at themselves. So it was just a bit of a shit show, and they've just embarrassed themselves, man. They've just embarrassed their entire club, because people are looking at it going, whether you like that, that's right or not. And you've said, you know, you can't blame them all, and I get that, but a lot of people will just go, Burnley that. Yeah,
but like I said, I think there was 14 in total that actually put money into actually hiring the plane. So two have been like sacked and brought to public attention. What's happening with the other 12? And this is like what you were saying about at United as football fans, that people need to self-police their areas. If you're aware of this sort of behaviour or people hold these sort of views, then they do need to be called out upon it, because these people have got friends. You know what I mean? I don't think that this is. Whilst I don't think the whole of Burnley is racist, but obviously these people have got friends and will share similar sort of ideals. So it does need to be like spoke about within the community.
It does, and I think they need to speak out themselves. It's not. We spoke about tribalism and racism. We've spoken about this, me and you, countless times. You make change when you do it from within. So when Chelsea fans starts calling out other Chelsea fans who are racist, when Liverpool fans or City fans or whoever start saying we're not having that at our club, that's how you get change. Not when it's United fans having a go at City fans or vice versa. You're just going to get into tribalism. So the decent Burnley fans out there, but like the ones that we've heard from, need to be vocal about it. They need to sort of show that they're not going to have it and they don't want to be associated with it. And Burnley, you know, the club itself have acted swiftly. I've loved Ben Mee, by the way. His speech after the game, I thought was fantastic. Again, you know, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but that was another heartfelt one. I thought he articulated his point really well. He was angry as well, and he did well to say what he needed to say without proper losing it. And you could see he was hurt because that, you know, he said that's not what this club's about. And you're going out there, you're trying to represent your club, you're trying to play a game of football, win a difficult game of football, and you've got morons like that, idiots like that, just causing dramas behind the scenes that you don't want to be associated with. It's just not what any club needs, and I hope that it's in many ways it's opened the eyes of what the views are of certain people in response to this, because a lot of people are just going, Black Lives Matter, what about white lives? And they need to be called out on it, because it's a fucking nonsense. It really is.
I think as well is that a lot of the people who go white lives matter or racism isn't so much of a problem in this country. The fact that there is a white lives matter movement just shows that there is. Do you know what I mean? In some ways, that people are actually flying these planes and have these certain views shows the level of either ignorance or arrogance that actually is in this country. I remember when it all happened, and Boris Johnson was saying that the George Floyd thing happened, and Boris Johnson was saying it happened thousands of miles away from here, and the thuggery, which he referred to as the Black Lives Movement protests in this country, referred to it as thuggery. In this country, is nothing to do with it. We're a very diverse community. But then you look on Twitter, and then you just read the comment sections under anything that has any, I don't know, the Marcus Rashford stuff, the Stormzy stuff, any of the Black Lives Movement. It's prevalent. You can see it. And these may well be keyboard warriors that won't mention it in the street, but it's very evident that there is a fucking problem here. So these people who start saying white lives matter and all lives matter are exposing themselves anyway. So in some ways, Jay, they might, in some ironic way, maybe they are showing that the Black lives do matter by them acting so lampoonish.
Well, you're right. I mean, everything you've just said there, I completely agree with. And you mentioned there about Boris Johnson, and he called it thuggery. You know, you go on social media, and you can see that there's thousands, if not more, of people that do have those sort of attitudes, and it's even above that. It's not just, I'll say above that. It's not just people in the general public, but even in the media. I mean, something that caught my eye this week was Alison Pearson, who's just almost a parody of a right-wing writer. She wrote a piece that was, I need to find it because I don't want to misquote. She was talking about the BBC One series, or the program I May Destroy You, and she wrote, written and partly directed by Michaela Cole, who was born in London to Ghanaian parents. This new drama is so brilliant, you don't watch it thinking that most of the characters are black. That's irrelevant. All right, I'm with you here. But then this is the kicker. They are human beings equipped with the full repertoire, even, get my words out, of virtues and vices. Who knew that, eh? Black people are human beings.
Fuck, what year did that happen? Fucking hell.
That's trying to be nice towards black people. Do you know what? They're actually human. I watched this program and mind blown, black people are human beings. That's deemed as praise towards the black community, and it couldn't be more insulting. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fuck me sideways, we're human. I didn't know. I'm glad I didn't get that memo. That's an absolute turn up for the books. What a result. This is what you're up against, and that's someone who's probably, educated to a high standard and is in got a prominent position in a newspaper. She writes regularly, I think, for the Telegraph, and she's coming out with drivel like that's been through a sub-edit and the editor and been published. And it's like, are you for fucking real? That's one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. Get a grip. How can you even think that, let alone put it on paper and print it? And that's what they did.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying it. People have these views maybe in the larger society, let's say working class people. It's throughout our whole society, but in the people at the papers or the politicians, it trickles down because you see people that have these platforms that are using this language. And then, of course, when we spoke about before, the way Boris Johnson has used racist rhetoric, and then it sort of deems it okay to have these thoughts, But I just wanted to touch on the media as well. So I was thinking about this the other day in terms of black representation or people of color representation in the media, because Steve McQueen, he did 12 Years a Slave, is that right?
Yeah, he did. He did
He was speaking about the lack of opportunities for black actors, but not just black actors behind the camera as well, for black people in the industry. But when you look at Coronation Street or EastEnders, that doesn't look like the East End. Do you know what I mean? I've been to the East End. Do you know, or Coronation Street doesn't look like a street. Today, I work as a youth worker, and I've been around most of Manchester today, just speaking to young people. And it was just so diverse, but nothing like Weatherfield. But Coronation Street is supposed to be indicative of what Manchester's like. Do you know what I mean? And it just doesn't. And I know Maxine Peake spoke about that today in her piece in the Independent, which has obviously caught like wildfire due to issues we'll talk about in a bit. But I just thought that sort of, when you look at how black people are, the representation on Netflix, there's like Top Boy was the huge thing with a black cast, or it's always like gang culture that you see that gets all the gangland shows that get all the sort of airtime. Why is it not like a black romantic film, or do you know what I mean, or something like that? You just don't see it, and because people like the journalist you said from the Telegraph are speaking about black actors in the way that you were there. That gets into the mindset. But when you normalize people and you see them in like doing fuck all, not shooting guns, because that's not what black people do by and large, then you sort of then in the subconscious or the psyche of normal people or everyday people will sort of see black people in another light. Do you know what I mean? It needs to come from so many different angles.
Mate, you as usual, as always, you speak a lot of sense, and I've said it a million times and I'll continue to say it. And this isn't just a pat sort of schmaltzy view of Manchester. It is what makes Manchester great is that we are a multicultural city. We are. That's part. You got to be absolutely thick as pig shit not to see that in Manchester. You walk through any street, most streets in Manchester, you're going to see different ethnic backgrounds, different nationalities, or different heritage, and that's great. That's what makes Manchester the wonderful city it is, you know. And you're right, and you don't really see that. And I've lived in the East End as well as living in Manchester. I used to live in Stepney Green, and you're right, that's proper multicultural. And again, it's all the better for it. And that's not really reflected in EastEnders or in other shows as well. And it pains me sometimes that you tend to have a black show and then a normal show, for want of a better expression, rather than just having shows that represent real life, which is multicultural Britain that we all live in. And it's from my point of view, it was a bugbear of mine as a journalist, because I still see journalists like Oliver Holt, for example, who's arguing about the Rooney Rule and we need more black managers and things like that. And I say, all right, Kate, I'll get where you're coming from with more black managers. I think that's right. But I've been in press conferences at a Champions League game at the Etihad, and it's me and Vincent Kompany, who's up for talking in the press conference, who are the only non-white people in the fucking room, and it's rammed. Yeah, you can't move. And I'm looking around, not that I'm like, well, is there any other black people or is there any brown people? But it's something you notice, you think, do you know what? You want to talk about diversity in football and management and all the rest of it. Yeah. Where's the diversity in the journalism world? Where's the diversity in sports journalism? Maybe it's getting better. I'm not, this was a couple of years ago, but at the time it struck me that there's a bit of hypocrisy there, because if you're going to write about it now, clubs and managers need black managers need a chance, and we need to see more black people in the boardroom. I think that's the answer in that sort of respect. Then what are you doing about it? What are you doing about your newspaper? Are you helping sort of to push those opportunities for a more diverse newsroom? Is that something you're working on? Are you giving opportunities to black and ethnic minority journalists? Probably not. You're probably just not. It's not something you're concerned, and you should be, because that's an issue that obviously needs addressing, and it's something that has a sort of domino effect, because then young black people see more prominent black sports journalists and they think there's opportunities for me to go down that field, I should pursue it. Whereas if you think it's a bit of a closed door, you're less likely to do that. So it all ties together, and I completely agree with what you're saying, because listen, I don't really watch Corrie anymore. My mum loves it, my missus loves it, but you're looking at that and you think, is Corrie a slice of Manchester really? No, probably not, in terms of the makeup of it all. And it's not that difficult to address that and to think, you know what, we can do this. We don't have to just shoehorn in a black family or an Asian family.
Yeah,
like they've done in EastEnders. Remember a few years ago? I don't remember.
But that was headline worthy. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like first Asian family, that moves into the East End or into Weatherfield. It's ridiculous.
Do you remember when he did it on EastEnders and it was all like back to front, because they said they just put this Asian family in and there was no consistency into what religion they were. There was no consistency in the ethnic background of the actual actors. It was just like, there was no sort of backstory as to their ethnic origin as a family, where they all come from. And it was like, do you know what I mean? You basically, I mean, I'm being a little bit facetious here, but you basically had one of them wearing a turban, the other one wouldn't drink because he was Muslim. The other two were sort of, Hindus, whatever. It was just like, oh yeah, it's an Asian family. No, there you go, that'll work. Happy days. And then people were like, this doesn't make any sense. What is this family? Where are they from? If you wouldn't do that with another family. Like, there's got to be some logic and some storyline behind it that makes sense for this family. And they hadn't. They just sort of shoved them all in. Now that was probably about 10 years ago, whatever. So I'm hoping it's better. I don't watch EastEnders, but I'm hoping it's got better. But we need to see that. We need to just let television and let journalism reflect society. We're not asking, goes back to the original point about Black Lives and All Lives Matter and all that shit. No one's saying that you should have a program or every program should be dominated by one particular ethnic group or whatever. Just let it reflect what society is showing us. So if you've got a program set in Manchester, what is the average street or the most towns look like in Manchester? And let's reflect that, because 9 times out of 10, I mean, I spoke here, where I live, it isn't as ethnically diverse as other areas in Manchester, but it's still pretty ethnically diverse. So they should reflect that, because that's you talk about these soap operas having a slice of realism in them. That's realistic.
Completely agree with you. Let's move on to we're talking about stuff in the press and media. The Independent's interview with Maxine Peake That was quiet today, wasn't it? The response to that. So is it Rebecca Long Bailey had been sacked because she referred to Maxine Peake as a diamond, and a lot of people were sort of upset regarding the content of what Maxine put in the article.
Yeah, I mean, I dipped my toe in this and I didn't know what had gone on. I love Maxine Peake. I have several reasons. I think she's a great actress. I loved her in Dinner Ladies. She was in Peterloo. I think she was great in that. And I didn't know what had gone on. I think Tracy and Oberman had tweeted something about Maxine Peake, just about, oh, this is the reason Labour lost because of her supporting Corbyn. So I sort of dived in. I should have checked really what had gone on, but I was just like, Maxine Peake's a legend. You can't blame her for losing the election. And then someone was like pointing out what had gone on. And I read the article and I was a bit sort of deflated when I saw the line in it, because I'd say there's several reasons. The line in it was that the police in America have been trained by Israeli forces to need people to lean on people's necks as a sort of a tactic. They train them to do that. Now, apparently that's not true. The police did get training from certain sections of the police got training in Israel, but they were never taught that. And second, for starters, it's the US police's fault that what's going on with George Floyd. Let's not start trying to sort of blame other countries and saying, oh, well, they were taught that because they weren't. The people that murdered George Floyd, if we're even going to use the word allegedly, I don't even know if we need to, that was in them. That was from the US police. That's the police doing what they've been doing for years. And that's nothing to do with Israel or anyone else. So that's the point. It's not accurate. Second point is, she said this, and I was speaking to someone who knows the journalist behind it, but they were disappointed in the journalist, because if you get told that and it's not true, or you check that, then you should remove it, or at least put a note or whatever saying that's not true or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You should indicate in that article that that's not factually correct. And they didn't. They just printed it or they published it. And then later on, when it all kicks off, they amended it, which, that's like typical after the horses bolted tackle. So there was that. Now, Rebecca Long Bailey's obviously tweeted this, and then she did another follow-up tweet to explain herself. And then Kier Starmer's acted pretty swiftly and sacked her from the shadow cabinet. Now, I don't know Rebecca Long Bailey very well. I've interviewed her once, I think, over the phone. But I've always respected her. I've always thought she was a decent politician, and I've liked a lot of her opinions and views. She's quite left-wing, but a lot of those socialist values are values that I have as well. And I think she represents Salford, not down the road. I'm part of Salford, and she's obviously one of it's not my MP, my local MP, but not far from where I live. So I was a bit disappointed this happened, and I think initially you can think, well, is that a bit of an overreaction from Kier Starmer, or did she is it that bad she's retweeting an article with one line in it that's out of order or that's incorrect? But I think you have to look at what's been going on with Labour and where they're coming from. And she should have known better, really, because they've had such an issue with anti-Semitism. And I'll get on to the Tories in a minute, don't worry about that. But they've had such an issue under Corbyn where, and I know a lot of the Jewish community just felt ignored, and they felt like they were being, like Labour wasn't safe for them, wasn't a home for them. We saw the treatment of Luciana Berger as well, what went on with her when she was pregnant and was getting all sorts of dog abuse and things like that. So they felt a little bit disenfranchised. So she knew what had gone on. She obviously knew that line was inflammatory. She should have done. So the best thing to do would have just been to stay out of it, just ignore it. Despite the fact you support Maxine Peake and you like what she's got to say, just if you're going to tweet that or back it, you're inviting a backlash at a time when Labour is trying to draw a line and trying to say, right, we're not we're not going to have anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. Kier Starmer sort of made that a big promise of his when he ran for the leadership, and he's acted swiftly. And some people may say he's overreacted, others may say it was justified. I think that in the context of what has gone on with Labour recently and what he's said he will do, I can get where he's coming from. I think it is almost like, it's not funny, but it's almost like a comedy of errors. But she's just got to be a little bit better than that, a little bit smart. She's not thick. She's a clever lady, and she had to be a little bit smarter. Now, Starmer's done what he's done, but that doesn't mean that he's got rid of anti-Semitism. And I think, we don't just need to, this is the bugbear I have with this. We get all caught up sometimes in anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. We should be having a conversation about anti-Semitism in all the parties, because the Tories haven't got a clean side of the street in this by any stretch of the imagination, not just with anti-Semitism, but with Islamophobia as well. And that needs to be addressed. Now, Starmer's doing his bit, fair enough, but we need to see others doing their bit, because I think you've still got the likes of Sally Ann Hart and the Tories who was accused of anti-Semitism, made some anti-Semitic comments. She didn't get punished for that, as far as I know. I think she might be under investigation. There's been others as well, so that needs addressing, because if we're going to tackle this, we need to tackle it across all boards, not just one party and one person. It needs to be looked at properly.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Kier Starmer actually believed what she did wrong, or it was more he had to be seen to be doing something because of the history of anti-Semitism and Labour? Do you know what I mean? The two different things. I think if he's trying to win over a massive support that Labour lost under Jeremy Corbyn, then do you think he's doing that for that reason rather than him actually believing that she was in the wrong for doing it?
Well, there's different sides to this. It's a good question, because for starters, she's quite a staunch Corbynite. I think Rebecca Long-Bailey, she was seen when she ran for leadership, I think, as the Jeremy Corbyn vote. If you wanted Jeremy Corbyn and, sort of, Mark 2 or 2.0, she was the one to go through. She was the one who, when she was asked to give him a ranking out of 10, she gave him 10 out of 10 for his performance, whatever. She should have done what Lisa and Andy did and said it's a fucking stupid question, I'm not rating him. That's, arbitrary max out of 10, bore off. Yeah. But she did, and she got a bit of a backlash from it. And I think Kier Starmer, a lot of it, politics, as you know better than anyone, is perception. It's how it looks. It's not necessarily what it is, it's how it looks.
But yeah.
And if you've said, I'm going to tackle anti-Semitism, and then maybe your shadow cabinet, one of your most prominent MPs, is tweeting an article that's got a line in it that buys into this whole Jewish conspiracy thing, or blaming Israel for something that's going on in America, whatever, that can be viewed as anti-Semitic, and you're not dealing with it, and people just think, same old Labour, innit? Do you know what I mean? Or he's not taking it seriously, he's saying this, and he's not going to do it. So I think it may have been an easier decision for him to make, because it's not one of his allies as such. Rebecca Long-Bailey isn't, a core member of Kier Starmer's inner circle. But I think it's one of those where he's almost been given an opportunity to prove whether he's all talk or not when it comes to this, and he's dealt with it swiftly. Time will tell how certain members the more left wing of the party. I'm not saying left wing are anti-Semitic by any stretch, but a lot of them do like Rebecca Long-Bailey. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It's quite risky in that respect. You might upset some of them, but if you're going to run on this and you're going to say this and it's viewed as anti-Semitic and you don't act in some way, then you're leaving yourself open to, at the very least, accusations of hypocrisy.
It's especially this early into his leadership as well, isn't it? I mean, he has to be seem to be backing up his words. What did you make of the Maxine Peake actual interview, though? Because there was a lot of, it seemed a bit strange. And I'm like you, Maxine Peake is a local hero, and she does share a lot of the very similar views to us. But I found the whole sort of bringing the Israeli forces angle into the conversation, it seemed very, very strange. If you read earlier on in the piece, I can't remember the film she's promoting, but she was saying that because she's in lockdown in Manchester now, it's preventing her to be in Palestine. So I can only think that she's out in Palestine doing some sort of charity work or something, over there. And obviously she's very good friends with Corbyn, and they share very similar views there. Do you know what I mean? And then so it seems that there's a conversation prior to or to the sound bites that were actually printed in the article that they were talking about what she should have been doing. And then when it got to the point of George Floyd and that, and then let's talk about the Israeli, the Israeli government's involvement in it. It was just a very, very bizarre. And then following on from that, she mentioned something about people who didn't vote for Labour, working class people who didn't vote for Labour because they didn't like Jeremy Corbyn's are all Tories, as far as I'm concerned. I didn't like Tony Blair, but I still voted for him. Do you know what I mean? And that seemed to be like, I don't know, it seemed like subtle digs at Kier Starmer and maybe Labour leadership and stuff like that. But with that, but there's a lot of choice language and I don't know. It seemed a very strange interview.
Yeah, it was. You're right, and I know I spoke to a couple of people who there was a lot of people in this last election who felt like they didn't have much of a choice. They weren't happy with some of the things that had gone on in the Labour Party, but they weren't Tories, and the Lib Dems had fucking more or less imploded under I almost forgot her name then. Joe was it Joe Swinson? So yeah, I mean, I don't think necessarily that you're a Tory if you didn't vote for Corbyn. I think that's just oversimplifying it, and it's like some people I know who voted Labour weren't happy voting Labour. You know, Dave Chappelle, who I'm always quoting, he said that he felt like that voting for Hillary Clinton. He said it was like, he said it's like if you got the opportunity to go down on Halle Berry and she fired in your face. That's what he likes it, likens it to. You still do it, but you've been fired in your face. He said that's how. He said,
Tone.
Yeah, sorry, I need to stop quoting Chappelle, but he just sometimes he can be a closer genius. But you know, he voted for Clinton because she was a much better option than Trump. But he wasn't a big Clinton fan, and I think that's how some people felt when it came to Labour. They weren't necessarily Jeremy Corbyn's biggest fan, but he was a better option than Boris Johnson, or they were historically they were Labour supporters who just felt a little bit like like the party had sort of wasn't giving them the voice they wanted. But I think it was a little bit inflammatory, and some of it, you do look at it and you're thinking, okay, she's obviously very left wing and she's wearing a heart on her sleeve, and I get that. But I just find that part of me was a little bit annoyed with the idea that you sort of almost letting, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but you're almost letting the police in America off the hook. You're saying, well, this is what they were taught by the Israeli.
Yeah, that's what
and they weren't taught that. And that's not why they killed George Floyd. That is nothing to do with that. And what didn't happen anyway, and that's not it. They killed George Floyd because there's inherent racism within that police department, or not just that police department, within that entire police force. And they think they can get away with it. They think they can. They think they can kill black people and get away with it. And why do they think they can? Because they do. Yeah. They do. They get away with it all the time. And it's not a case of, now saying, I mean, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for arrests for the shooting of Breonna Taylor. I think we are. And it's like, this goes on all the time. We've seen it time and time again. So blaming Israel for that that's just ridiculous. Sorry, it is. And I think, you're going off topic. And then again, this is the sort of the attitude that a lot of people on the left sometimes view is like, if you're slightly centrist or you're slightly centre left, you're part of the problem. And it saddens me sometimes that, because I think a lot of people are centre left. A lot of them are. A lot of people do have liberal views on certain issues and not so liberal views on others. You might find that some people, just because someone has a concern, for example, on, say you got a concern about immigration, does that automatically make you racist? No, not necessarily. You might just you might just have a concern. You might be, you go to the extreme where you're like, don't let anyone in the country, then yes, you are racist, obviously. But if you've got a concern, then let's have a discussion. But what will happen is someone could raise that concern, you go, right, you're against us, that's it. Or if you think, we need to crank down, we need tougher punishments for certain criminals, well, that's it, you're part of the problem, you're centrist or you're right wing, fuck off. And that's the issue, is there's just a lack of dialogue between certain factions of the Labour Party. And what I've always thought in Labour, this has been going on, it's nothing fucking revelatory what I thought, loads of people think it, but you've always had almost two Labour parties at war with each other. Now you look at Brown and Blair. Blair was practically a Tory in a lot of his views. Brown was more left-wing, but they made it work because Blair was the face and he got the votes, and then obviously stepped aside and Brown came in. You've had it ever since. You've always had these warring factions of the more left and the more centrist bits of the Labour Party, right through to, Corbyn. We had it when he was undermined. Some of that, what happened was wrong as well. We've seen the report that came out. I don't think some of the reports, I should say, I don't know what's happening with that, where you heard about Diane Abbott being on the toilet crying because she'd been racially abused and people in the party mocking her, undermining him in the general election, not the most recent one, the one before that. And it's just a massive problem within the Labour Party that you've got these warring factions, and Kier Starmer's got his work cut out to bring that together, because otherwise, what worries me is in 4 years' time or 4.5 years' time, to get more of this fucking Tory government, mate. We are.
Yeah.
Labour's just going to be fighting with each other, and no matter what a shit show they've made of coronavirus or anything else, they'll weather the storm, and then they'll get back in, and it'll be like, what? I'm going to see 20 consecutive years of Conservatives in my lifetime, and I can't handle that. Seriously, do you know what I mean? So he's got his work cut out, Starmer, he really has, and I think, it was slightly inflammatory. I mean, obviously, she's an actress, she's not an MP or anything, but she's not the only person that will have these views, and he needs to reach out to those sections of the party and try and bring them on board, because we can't have a Labour Party that's just imploding all the time and fighting with one another, because we need them to be getting focusing on the job in hand, which is holding these muppets to account in government.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just wanted to ask your views. I was a bit uncomfortable whether to discuss this because anti-Semitism, especially this, what was referred to as being anti-Semitic, I couldn't really grasp, is it anti-Semitic to have a goal to say Israeli police are training, and we know it's false now, but I'm just saying, just in the context of the article, that that's classed as anti-Semitism to refer to say that Israeli police were officially hired by the US government to train to train their police in how to self-defense or attack. So is that anti-Semitic? Because then I look at how I've been very vocal about the Saudi regime. Do you know, and the Saudi police force and how they treat people. So is that racist to have a go? You know, if you're having a go at a government, is that the same as having a go at a group, the Jewish people? Is that the same? I couldn't grasp the.
No, I think that's a really good question. It's a very, very complex issue, and I've been trying to read up on it a lot more from people that know more about it than I do, because, you know, I would be critical of certain actions of the Israeli government, especially towards Palestinians. Does that make me anti-Semitic? I don't think it does. And like you know, I'll criticize the Saudi Arabian government. I criticize our government fucking more than most people. I criticize the American government. I criticize all governments over certain things they've done, and the Israeli government is no different. I think what's going on here with this is there's certain things that people connect to anti-Semitism, which I sort of understand. You know, I mentioned Sally Ann Hart before, the Tory MP, and she talks about George Soros and his money and this conspiracy. I think when you start insinuating there's some sort of Jewish conspiracy going on, that's when it starts going down the route of anti-Semitism. And that is the sort of insinuation where you're linking, I'm guessing this is what, you know, I might be wrong here, but it's like you're linking Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd and the murder of him with Israel and them having a hand in it, and it's people start thinking, oh, you're going down this route of it's a Jewish conspiracy sort of thing. Now, I'm not saying that was necessarily what Maxine Peake was insinuating, but the problem was she didn't have the facts on her side. If she had the facts on her side, we might be having a different conversation.
Yeah,
she was factually incorrect, so that's an issue, because straight away you're like, well, what you're saying is not true. Secondly, Rebecca Long Bailey, by retweeting this, and, you know, you can argue all day long about a retweet is not an endorsement or whatever, but you've retweeted and said she's a diamond. People, and I think Rebecca Long Bailey, when she issued the first, I think she's done 2 apologies or 2 explanations. One of them, I'm not sure which one, said, I agreed with 99% of that article, but it's that 1% that's the issue. And people look at it, and you're looking at a member of parliament for a party, or a member of the shadow cabinet for a party that has been accused of anti-Semitism, retweeting an article that's got some form of sort of conspiracy, Jewish conspiracy line in it. The optics aren't great. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not. And I think, you know, you're right. I don't ever think you should stop criticizing the Israeli government if you think they've done something wrong, because some of the things, the actions I think have been deplorable. And I'm not going to stop saying that. I would never stop saying that. I don't think that makes me anti-Semitic at all. But I think in the context of this, that line in the article, and the fact you've got a Labour MP who, you know, is coming from a party or a section of the party that's been accused of anti-Semitism, it doesn't look great. And I can understand why certain people go, you know what, that's just not on. So in answer to your question, I just think it's that context. I don't think criticizing the Israeli government makes you anti-Semitic at all. If it does, then I'd be as guilty as anyone, because I've criticized them over many years for some of their actions, but I don't think that's the case here. And I don't think that's the case. And I just think that it's just that context, and the fact that with everything that's gone on, it's got to be a little bit smarter, I think. You've got to see how it looks. That's the main thing, how it looks. And you can have these arguments all day long about what you meant and how it looks and the difference and shit like that. But as I said earlier, she's not daft, Rebecca Long Bailey. She's a very clever woman. She'll have understood. Maybe, you know, not before she did it necessarily, but she must have understood, like, after the event, like, okay, that's why people have got upset. And I think you just got to box a bit cleverer, especially if you're part of a party that's trying to get to grips with it. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. Anti-Semitism charges at Labour. Feels like we're getting back to normal, doesn't it? Another thing that's getting back to normal is the pubs are going to be opening on, I think, July the 4th. It doesn't sound like it looks like a pub, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be a pub.
Is this?
I've no idea. I've no idea.
I need a kettle. I need a teapot.
Oh God, Rishi.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Stood at.
I don't drink, but I can't wait for the pubs to open. What? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but and then stood outside like somewhere that sells kettles.
I may as well go stood outside of fucking butchers and started putting your thumbs up. It's completely irrelevant. It's got nothing to do with the pubs opening. What are you talking about?
I always imagine Malcolm Tucker or someone running around when I see these Tory gaffs. You know what I mean? These pick photo ops. Like, what the fuck are you doing running around? Yeah.
Did you tweet that? What are the terms about giving him access to his own Twitter? Who took that picture? You're fucking gone. Get your stuff. Get out of the office. You're done, mate. It was ridiculous. And listen, I'm for different reasons. I don't drink either.
Yeah,
I'm not really bothered about the pubs reopening. If being completely honest.
Sorry, I'm not moving on. That fucking hell. Fine. We'll just move on to the next topic then, Jay.
Listen, no. Right, listen. I've got friends that obviously like yourself and who do drink, and a lot of my mates will be like, yeah, the pubs are reopening, but from a personal point of view, I'm not going to be going to the pub now they're reopening. I didn't go to them before they shut, so I'm not going to go now. But I get it. It's a step forward in it to normality.
Is it a step forward? Is it that the point we're trying to make was not because you're going to be rushing to the pub or out loud, but I just wanted your views on. Do you think we're rushing things too fast, going back to the pubs and stuff? And we've seen what's happened at Bournemouth Beach these last couple of days. And we can only imagine that that's going to have a similar impact as soon as the pubs are open. It's going to be queues around the block and stuff. And I found it quite moronic or just fucking ridiculous. Is that Boris Johnson was always saying like, "Oh, you need to do the great British institution is the pub, and everyone needs to do their bit and get back and have a pint." But this is the same man who referred to the working class as drunks that are usually drunk and aimless and clueless. So the conspiracy theorist in me is like, there's loads of protests going on at the moment. What else? And Boris Johnson hold these views where if you keep the British public drunk, then they won't be kicking off so much on the streets and stuff. And the way that they fucked up the coronavirus, what better way to sort of subdue your opponents by making sure that they're all getting pissed? Bread and circuses, mate. So it just cram them all into a Wetherspoons, and then they might forget about it. Because I know it sounds a bit far fetched. But do you really think that the Black Lives Matter movement would have been as expansive had it not been during a lockdown? Because if you look at the people like the people who've been killed by cops and the black people who've been killed by cops in America previously, I mean, over the last 10 years, there's been enough to sort of have a move to sort of propel a movement. But we weren't in a situation where we didn't have all our sort of everyday, I don't know, it's like bread and circuses, isn't it? That's what that, where we had all our sort of things, our leisures taken away from us, so we needed something else to do. So I don't know how the scale of what the Black Lives Matter would have been in this country had the pubs been closed.
No, it's a good point. I think that the thing with coronavirus and the thing like the Black Lives Matter movement, why it's so maybe why we've reached the tipping point with it, where in the past, yes, you're right, we've had black people die in custody and black people. Maybe not to the extent, I don't know, George Floyd, it seems a little bit different because there's like 8 minutes and 46 seconds of him choking there publicly on camera. That is something that even, the Rodney King beating obviously wasn't fatal, but it just feels different. It's so traumatic to watch that. But also you've got, you're right about the coronavirus and the lockdown, but the coronavirus, it affects black people differently. It affects, black and ethnic minorities differently. And we still don't know the answers there. Me and my missus were asking these questions about, do I have to treat my son differently or my youngest daughter differently as a mixed race when it comes to sending them back to school? Is there a difference there with this virus? Why does it affect them? Is it sort of social reasons or is it genetic reasons? It all seems a bit confusing. So that doesn't help. And then you've got right-wing leadership. Had this... I'm not saying this wouldn't have happened under Obama, but at least Obama would have been able to come out and say something that didn't inflame the situation. He would have been able, and not just because he's black, but because he was a who can come out, and he did it with Trayvon Martin. He was able to say, Trayvon, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. And he got pelters for that, even though it was the most basic thing he could have said. But I'm guessing he could have come out and he could have said things and he could have maybe diffused it and maybe made people think, he gets it and he understands and something's going to change. where you've got Trump who just fucking tear gasses people and stands in front of a church with an upside down Bible because he's an idiot. So you've got all these different things sort of melting together, and in this country, it's not far off. You've got, again, Boris Johnson who don't get it. You've got Dominic Raab comparing it to Game of Thrones, another clown. And it just adds to that anger, doesn't it? It adds to that sense of no one's listening to us. We're dying at the hands of police. This virus affects us more than it affects anyone else, and no one can tell us why. Yeah, and we've got you're right, we've got certain liberties removed or whatever, and no one's listening, and it's just frustrating. And I'm walking past statues of slave owners, and I'm just not having it anymore.
Yeah,
so you're just gonna get that sort of, it all boils over, and it's just like one thing after another where you get it. So I think it does play its part. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe it would have happened even if the pubs were open because of the other things I've mentioned. Maybe it would have just been like, because of the nature of that video and because of, some of the leadership you've got.
Yeah,
but I think it all makes it together.
Yeah, I just want to put a caveat there. I wasn't saying that black people wouldn't have been out protesting because of what's happening. I'm just saying on a scale, because you do tend to find a lot of the middle class that seem to go along for a jolly. I mean, I've been to marches in London, you know what I mean, for Brexit and stuff like that, or the Iraq War, the Iraq War, and I was there, and it was just, I mean, like Roy Keane would say, it was prawn sandwich brigade. Everyone was just down there for a day out. And I just wonder. I'm strongly anybody out there. I wasn't saying that black people won't protest because they'd be in a pub. I'm just saying that I think there are a lot of hang. Do you know what I mean? I mean the scale of it. That's that's the point I was trying to make. Because people have other options available to them.
I mean, I think you're right. I mean, we saw it in Manchester, didn't we? Some of the protests, and you looked at some of those protests, and I mean, it's a minority. I won't hasten to add this. It's a minority of protests, but some of them were completely missing what it was about. I saw some signs that were just fucking stupid. I saw one, and I think it did the rounds. It was like a meme that, I suck black dick, so you will hear my voice or whatever. And you're like, are you for fucking real? So I get where you're coming from, that some people who maybe don't get what this is about and aren't doing it for the right reasons. Maybe they'd be like, do you know what? I'm going to go and drink Sancerre in a pub, in a, beer garden, rather than get involved in this. Maybe there is an element of that. But again, I think it all just sort of molds into one. I think at the minute, people, you're probably right. There's an element of that. People are angry, not just black people. People in general are angry. People be angry because they've seen the treatment of black people. So they'll be like, you know what, this isn't on, and then it just all adds to it. And maybe there's the counter protest as well. Maybe that wouldn't have been as prevalent. If the pubs were open, maybe all them numpties would have gone to the pub instead of descended on Churchill statue to go and stand near a billboard or whatever and shout at the police. So I think it's just like the perfect storm of shit at the minute, with everything that's going on. And it's, if anything good can come out of this, then hopefully it's some of the changes that we've seen. The statues was a start, one or two statues that they've got rid of that needed to go. We've spoken about that. Police reform will be the next one for me. That's a big issue. And if I'm going to make a wish list, then it'd be a change in power in November for starters in the US.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed on that one. But it's just been a weird sort of, unprecedented at times, isn't it, in terms of everything that could have gone wrong during this time. But I do find as we move towards the new normal, is that I don't want to see this recreational outrage. If you are pissed off and you've been putting black on your Twitter profile as your picture, or you've been doing the hashtags and stuff, don't make it be just for this time, because this isn't going to stop once you're allowed to go back to work. This is when it needs to be pushed forward. And that's what my big fear is out of all this, is that when things lose momentum, because and away from the Black Lives Matter, the way that coronavirus has been dealt with, you know what I mean, because Black Lives Matter has sort of swallowed that up in many ways. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it shouldn't have done, but there are a lot of questions that need to be answered after this. A lot of people need to be put to the task for how they've dealt with it. And I just worry sometimes when the whole Labour thing was going on with Jeremy Corbyn. If you went on Twitter, then you would believe that the Labour were going to win the next election just purely due to my timeline. Do you know what I mean? If that was the consensus of how the country fought, and I just fear sometimes that when I look at my timeline now, and a lot of it's Black Lives Matter, how much of that really is going to be translated into the streets as we move on into the new normal. That's just my biggest fear.
No, you're right. And sometimes you can be like in your own little echo chamber where you're hearing the views of I think, I don't want to keep referring to, but I think Obama said it, you're getting the news that you want to get almost because you're subscribing to the sort of the news outlets, or you're following the people that share similar views to you. Do I watch Fox News? Do I fuck? Yeah, it's one of the most watched news channels in the world. Do I read The Sun or the Daily Mail? I'd rather stick pins in my eyes, but they're two of the most read papers in England, or in Britain, sorry. So, yeah, I am going to get slightly skewed, but I think, yourself and me and a lot of people know, you do challenge your views, you do question things, you do ask questions. Is that necessarily the case? I don't just go, oh, well, the Guardian told me that must be the only view out there or the only truth out there. What's the sort of what else is being said about it? But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I know you wanted to touch on it as well, because I don't want to get into sort of like, doom and gloom and how's this all going to pan out? But the beaches, we've been speaking about that. The beaches have been rammed. I think it was Bournemouth Beach declared an incident because it was so rammed. And it does make me wonder what's going to be the repercussions of that. You're talking about, when the dust settles and maybe you can have an investigation or inquiry into how it's handled or anything. But you look at it today, in the immediate future, you just worry that how's that going to affect if you're spreading the virus, because you have thousands crammed onto Bournemouth Beach, obviously not doing the metre and a half rule, whatever the fuck we're at in a minute. And that's a massive worry, that really, because it's going against what any sort of medical advice is at the minute. We've
been going against medical advice since the beginning, Jay. Why we're going to buck a trend, mate? But it is worrying because there are spikes going up across Germany and other countries that I've read today. But yeah, man, that was a good chat. Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you for watching out there. This has been Scotty and Motty. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. He's a clever bastard, isn't he? Obviously, that one. Him. But honestly, get in touch at the bottom. Share your comments. We really, really like reading your comments and getting back to you. Subscribe, share, tell your mates. Football is finished now until September, so we won't be discussing anything to do with that. Well done, Arsenal on their win today.